Hey everybody, how's it going? Um, I was asked to show off some of my armies. I don't really have that many done to show off. I only have like a couple models for some here and there. But I'll show you essentially what I got working on one as well as completed S armies. I say completed S because my Tau, for example, are not done, but they're big enough to play in small games. Um, I was also asked to talk about non-conventional ways you can play 40k. And so I'm going to combine the two in this video and probably in other videos as well. And so this one is a combined video. And we're going to talk about Combat Patrol and my Tau army, but my Tau Combat Patrol army, because it's fully done. Um, so what is Combat Patrol? Well, Combat Patrol is a way to play 40k fast. It won't take more than an hour. Um, Probably a lot less, 40 minutes at most. Um, it's got a small army. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun playing Combat Patrol. It's some of the most fun I've had playing 40k. It's not the most fun I've had, but it's up there. Um, because they play fast, you can get a couple of games in with multiple people. So let's talk about it. The rules are no army greater than 400 points, so it's really small. It's small enough that you can play with armies that you're just starting. So no more than 400 points. You must include one troop choice. After that, there's no force organization chart at all, but you must have one troop choice. You may include one HQ, but no more than one HQ, and the HQ cannot have a 2+ save, and it cannot have over 2 wounds, and neither can any model in the army, in the conventional army, so no Ogre, for example. You can't have over 2 wounds, and you can't have a 2+ save. Also, vehicles are allowed, but vehicles cannot have a combined armor value of greater than 33. And how you get that is you add front, side, and rear armor together. You only add side armor once. So, for example, this Dellafish is front 12, side 11, rear 10. It's 33. It's allowed. But a Leman Russ would not be allowed. A Dreadnought would not be allowed. You get the idea. What else? That's pretty much it. You play on a smaller board, like a 4x4 or a 3x4 board for one-on-one. If you're going to do teams, like teams of 2 or 3 combat patrolists on each side, you might want to do a full-size board, just because you're going to be approaching almost a normal game size points worth on each side. Anyway, so that's Combat Patrol. It's lots of fun. You can combine it with the missions, so you can do Annihilation, you can do Seize Ground, or even Capture Control. You just gotta make it smaller. So instead of having like 5 objectives, you make it so like just 3 holies or something like that. That way you don't have a tie, or it's hard to have a tie. Not really, but you get the idea. It's pretty easy to still have a tie with 3 as opposed to 2. You could also make up your own objectives, like just something in the center. You might want to get to the center. You can also do some old mission types, like camp, like a combat patrol set up camp in the center of the board. So that's where the opponent deploys, or a defender, if you will, and the attacker deploys somewhere on the edge, and they have to like assault the camp, and the defender to defend the camp. You get the idea. Because it's smaller point size and the table is not too much smaller. It's 4x4, 3x4. You can include a bit more terrain and have it more scenery oriented, and it can be more dynamic that way. And it's lots of fun. You can play it a lot. It forces you to think more, only because your army is so small, and you're not gonna have like a predator backing you up or terminators backing you up or anything like that. So yeah. As for the army, the armor I'm going to showcase with this video right here is my Tau Combat Patrol army. I have Combat Patrol lists for my Dark Angels as well, but this army, my Tau started off Combat Patrol, and then I built upon it. But I always, because I always wanted to have a regular sized Tau army, but I figured I'd start small with Combat Patrol, have fun with that, learn the ropes, and then continue from there. I've always planned on playing Farsight and Oshova's Farsight Enclave and Commander Farsight, also known as the Oshova Sept, which is why they're painted in his colors. I view them not being in Tau colors or Vior-La colors. I view them taking and donning his colors, so that's why I did this. So let's get right to it. One other thing before we get to it is, if you don't have an HQ, don't worry, because there's another rule which is optional, really, And that is, I mean, if you look at the old PDF, it doesn't say optional, but I think it's optional. Um, is whatever model has the highest leadership value, that's essentially the commander for the combat patrol, and it could be a sergeant, for example. But they don't count as anything greater or lesser. They don't count as an HQ, and they don't give anything more for kill points or anything. But essentially, they have what the equivalent of rights of battle for, and this is for every army. So if you're ever required to make a leadership test, you do it on the highest leadership value for the entire army, as long as that model is still alive, which is pretty fun. So I just wanted to put it out there in case you're wondering, man, I want my company master, but I can't take him, or I don't want to field a chaplain because he doesn't have rights of battle. If you're playing Blood Angels or Dark Angels, for example, or if you're wondering, like, my armor has a really low leadership, what am I going to do? This is one way you can deal with it. It's pretty much a standard rule, but some people don't even use it or even care about it. But I figured I'd tell you about it. So with my Tau, my leader would be this battle suit, but he's not an HQ. He is a elite choice. He is a Shazvari. He's an XV8 suit, upgraded to be a Shazvari. He is 1 man strong. He's got 2 shield drones because of a hardwired drone controller, and they're there to keep him alive. Being that an enemy army probably won't have that much strength, a high strength, low AP weaponry in squads, you can allocate those wounds to the shield drones, I should say, and if they die, they die, it doesn't matter. He's got a missile pod, and then Twin Fusion Blaster. And missile pod's long range, obvious, and its obvious advantage is the fact that you can move and shoot it a lot at range, keep people at distance, a safe distance, potentially deal with any vehicles in combat patrol, and deal with tough infantry. The Twin Fusion Blasters here, so he really wants to deal with the vehicle that's becoming a threat, or he really wants to get in close and kill that one unit or whatnot. He can really, that one model, I should say, he can do it. Essentially makes him, he will take on any model that comes to combat patrol. And then we have the obligatory 1 troop choice, excuse me, which is a 10-man strong fire warrior team led by a Shazui. And then I have another 10-man strong fire warrior team led by a Shazui. Now I added the Shazui because he has a leadership boost to 8. So should he die, I at least have leadership 8 instead of 7. Also, they're bare bones. Aside from that, no upgrades. And then I have a Devilfish attached to one of the fire warrior teams. Bare bones. This is the gun drones, which can pop off, which is always nice, and the burst cannon. Other than that, it's just whatever comes standard. And that's around, I think that's exactly 400 points. If I were to change anything, I would put, take one of these squads out and replace it with the same size fire warrior team with pulse carbines. And what the pulse carbines are for is, removing the 18-inch assault range and the pinning aspect. But other than that, I think Tau does very well in combat patrol because of the high strength, long range weaponry that they do have. And you could take another crisis suit if you really wanted to, just not take another troop choice. But I wanted to have more models on the field to take objectives. This was even in 4th edition when I made this army up. There's still more models on the field to deal with the enemy and whatnot. And now to take objectives if there are any, and to kill the opponent. So that's Combat Patrol and my Tau Combat Patrol army. Not much more to say than that. I'm going to look into other ways you can play 40k, aside from the obvious Apocalypse, City Fight, or Planet Strike. I'll probably still talk about those, or ways to implement stuff from like that into regular gaming. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I highly suggest giving Combat Patrol a try. You can even modify it, and I'll do another video on modifying rules in another time. But yep, that's my Tau so far. My Tau Combat Patrol. There's not much else for my Tau army, aside from a couple more battle suits and a broadside. And for now, and Farside, obviously. So, hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, take it easy.